everybody, and welcome back to Pear Tree Paper Crafts. As you will see, this particular process video is for Cut to You, and it's my first design team layout for Cut to You. And I've chosen today to use this butterfly cut file. I will leave links in the description box below for how you can get to Cut to You and where you can find this exact cut file. I decided to cut this out of a large sheet of white cardstock. And then use what was left from the cut file, because it does come with some little tiny little holes that are meant for stitching. So I decided to use both parts, so the negative, what was left behind, and the actual cut file itself. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going around these smaller dots and stitching them with some light blue thread, because I'm using the inspiration board that you also saw at the start of this video as my inspiration, but I've taken the blue colour from it. I haven't used the pinks, I'm just using the blues. I have also cut down the sheet of white cardstock, just taken 1/4 inch off of each side so that I can have a border around the outside as well. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the main part of the cut file, the butterflies themselves, and I'm actually cutting them up. I don't want to leave them as one large cut file. I want to have them as separate ones because my intention is to make shaker pockets out of each of the butterflies. So what that involves is cutting them up and then sticking each one of them onto some acetate, which I'll do in a little while. There's my backing sheet, because again I've used that gorgeous blue colour, and I'm just going around the outside of that with lots of double-sided sticky tape, and in fact I go around quite a lot of the shape and put plenty of tape on just to make sure it's not going to move or lift up where I don't want it to. I don't make you watch all of this because it takes me quite a while. There's my sheet with the double-sided on it, and I'm just going to place it down with that small amount of blue all the way around the outside. I'm just using a little bit of wet glue now to stick down any bits that were kind of flapping around. So now I'm taking the butterflies and I'm using some wet glue and I'm sticking them onto some really quite thick acetate that I have. I don't know whether you can get any thinner. I'm sure you can, but mine's quite thick and it's quite tricky to stick down. So I'm just sticking down the butterflies, getting rid of any excess glue. I don't, again, make you watch all of this because it does take me quite a while. So I stick them all down on the acetate and then I cut round them all so that they're all backed with acetate. You can't even see the acetate on the film, can you? But there they are. So now what I'm doing is I'm going around all the edges of the butterflies with some very thin strips of adhesive foam. So I've taken a large sheet of adhesive foam and I've cut it into tiny strips, and I'm just sticking those around the outside of the butterflies so that when I go to stick them down there is space for the sequins to move around in my shaker pockets. I am going across the middle part of the wings as well into the centre of the butterfly so that all of the sequins don't end up falling to the bottom half of the butterfly when the page stands up. So I do that for all of my butterflies. I then put glue around the outside, as you can see, on the foam, and then I sprinkle some sequins onto each of the places where the butterfly is going to go, spread them out a little bit, and then I simply press the butterfly down, and I have to hold it for a little while in place while it adheres just enough for it to stay put and not move around again then when I move my fingers. And I do this for each of those butterflies. Put the glue on, put the sequins on and stick them down. And there we go. And then we're back with the photograph. So the photograph I'm scrapping today is of me and my son at the beach. And it's when he was going for a paddle in the sea, but he wasn't quite stable enough on his feet yet to go in by himself, so I went with him and we had a little paddle. So what I've just done there is taken some of my watercolours in some varying shades of blues and bluey greens and just done some splatter. The splatter turned out to be quite small, so then I took my brush and made some deliberately large sort of blobs of paint, if you like, so that they weren't all tiny. And I'm just cleaning up any bits of splatter that have ended up on that acetate. So I don't want anything on there. I just want it to look completely clear. So what I'm going to do now is pick out some bits of ephemera and some bits of paper, and I'm going to mat my photograph on some stripy paper because I want to kind of bring in the idea of those stripes there from his little swimsuit, his little sunsuit that he's wearing. And I've also got to include some of the Cocoa Vanilla butterflies, just because they were the perfect colour and added to the idea of the butterflies that are already on that layout. So now I'm just taking some varying shades of blues and bluey greens from my stash just to pop some matting behind the photographs. I tend not to mat photographs straight, I do tend to mat them wonky, but that's how I prefer to do things. I was contemplating that washi tape there for a while, but in the end I don't think I use it. So I'm just going to stick those down and have the bits of colour just popping out from behind that photograph. There we go. I put a little strip of those hearts there from the Happiness collection just at the bottom. Now when I add the matted photograph onto the layout, I decide that I've chosen the wrong side of that cardstock. It's just too blue and I need more bluey green, so I just whip it off and then do it again in a slightly lighter shade, which I'm much happier with in the finished product. So I just pick that out of the way, pop some more double-sided tape on, and it's sorted. I often do this as I'm going. If I choose the wrong colour, I'd rather change it and lose a bit of cardstock than end up sort of with something that I'm not completely happy with. So I'm just got a couple of little tags there, little labels that I'm cutting in half and popping in behind that photograph. And just building up those layers just to try and make it look really interesting behind the photograph. I'm going to put another bit of that blue behind. This time it's going to stick out both sides. And then I'll just trim it off a little bit with my scissors, having tried it on the layout itself. And I still do want to include some of those hearts, but in the end I think I go for a strip along the top and bottom possibly. I'm not sure if I do top and bottom or just the bottom. So just trimming that down, and again I'll just stick it on with a little bit of tape where it fits. It's part of the whole process of scrapbooking, I suppose, to decide, oh no, I don't like that and I want to put this in, and to keep changing your mind. So there's those lovely Cocoa Vanilla butterflies. They're from the Happiness collection. I've ended up buying, I did buy the collection pack from Cocoa Vanilla, but then I ended up buying several extra sheets of the butterfly sheet, just because I like fussy cutting them so much, and putting them on because they seem to match with everything. I can usually find a place for one of those butterflies on practically every layout I make. So I spend quite a bit of time now trying to decide where to put this photograph, because the idea was it was going to go there. Now it's upsetting me because it's covering up some of those beautiful butterflies and the shaker pockets, and that's upsetting me a little bit because I don't really want to cover them up. However, I think I do in the end, because it is the perfect place, because the theme is adventure and going on an adventure, I felt, and it's trying something new. So the butterflies are almost flying out from the photograph itself. So I'm just placing those fussy cut ones now onto the layout itself. I think I've just gone back to the sheets to get another couple, and a couple of the smaller ones from the 6x8 pad as well. Like I say, I use loads of them. They just seem to go with everything. Not much left now on this layout. I've got a couple of bits and pieces. I've just popped a little bit of washi tape underneath that photograph, and then I try a different piece of washi tape, and I don't think I'll leave either of them on because they just don't seem to fit. I like that ticket as well, but I can't seem to get that to fit. Instead I decided to fussy cut yet another butterfly to put up in that just above the photograph, and I think that's where I'm happier with it, to be honest. And then it's just a case of choosing my title. I did like that sentiment there which says Paradise is here with you, but the colour on the Paradise sticker wasn't quite right, so in the end I ended up finding this Silver Adventure. I was going to use those blue ones, they're from, I think they're the Sparkle City ones, but I do find Adventure there, and I popped that along the bottom and it just looks perfect with the colour tones I've chosen. And then that little sticker there from the Horizon collection that says Time for a New, and then Adventure there in silver. And then the last thing I do is go back to the sticker sheet with the Adventure, where the Adventure sticker came from, and take all the little hearts off it. And then all I've got to do is stick down those butterflies and pop some little bits of dimension underneath the wings. So that's about it from me. Thank you ever so much for popping by to my channel. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and keep watching because in a few moments there will be some close-ups of this layout just at the end of the video. And be sure to go and check out Cut to You because there are some absolutely awesome cut files on the shop ready and waiting for you to go. Thanks very much.